Uh, let's go now to the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. Spins is rocking his Phoenix Suns hat. Is there a reason for that, Adam?
Is there I found it while I was cleaning out my closet this weekend. So that's the reason for it.
I thought you were about to come with the hot take that the Suns are winning in 5. That's what I was hoping for. I needed
this
some fire.
I stole it from my college roommate 10 years ago and found it in my closet type of thing. So why the hell not wear it tonight?
That rules. The Nuggets beat the Suns 125-107. Adam, I kind of gave my take on this series at the beginning of this show. What is kind of your take on this series after game 1?
Yeah, so I think the Phoenix Suns are, let me put it this way. The Denver Nuggets shot the crap out of the basketball in game 1. And every open three-pointer that they got, they drilled. So if you're Phoenix, I don't think you can just rest on saying, well, they'll come back down to earth and they won't always shoot that way throughout the series, because there are some real defensive flaws with kind of how the Phoenix Suns are constructed right now. They need to find a better opportunity they need a better role player than Landry Shamet on the defensive end of the floor right now, because I thought he got picked apart in that first game, and the Phoenix Suns just didn't have we'll talk about the math equation a little bit more, but I didn't think that they had an answer for Jamal Murray and a lot of the creation that he can have at the top of the key. He got far too many easy looks, and then when he got into the lane, he created easy looks for others.
So, yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about Landry Shamet. I think one big adjustment for Phoenix is don't play Landry Shamet. Just frankly, that is, we will talk about it when we go in depth on the tape. Yeah. That is something that will very much help the Phoenix Suns in this series. In my opinion, don't play Shamet. Number 2, the math equation is interesting, and I do think it is worth talking about briefly. The Phoenix Suns shot a crazy amount of mid-range shots in this game, particularly the first half. They only took 5 3-point attempts. I get it when people say the math equation is a problem for Phoenix. I do think on some level it is, and it makes their life a little bit harder than it has to be. I don't think it was the problem in game 1. I do think it is a grander, bigger scale problem for them as they continue to go through this playoff series. They need to do more than what they did in game 1 in terms of spacing and being willing to shoot and being willing to fire from 3. I just also will note that they shot 51% from the field in this game. They got to the line more than the Nuggets. The problem was not the math problem in terms of mid-range. It was the problem in terms of attempts and number of cracks that the Nuggets got at it, because the Nuggets ended up with 16 offensive rebounds in this game, a majority of them coming in the first half. Nikola Jokic ended up with 8 offensive rebounds in total in this game. And I think that was the bigger math problem for Phoenix. They took 17 fewer shots than Denver. And anytime that happens, you're just going to have problems. The Suns turned the ball over 16 times to Denver's 9 in this game. Yeah. To me, the problem was that the Phoenix Suns did not play well. The problem longer term could be that there is a math issue that will come up against them. But in game 1 specifically, it's that they did not play well. Thoughts, Adam?
I think that sounds right. And we can be a lot more targeted with the they aspect of this in talking about the Phoenix Suns. So I didn't really feel Chris Paul's presence out there in the way that I typically feel him during a postseason series, as a manipulator, as a competitor, as a guy who just controls the pace for his team. And that's something that we've definitely noticed since Kevin Durant arrived in town. More touches for KD and Booker, a few less for a guy like Chris Paul. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's the natural order of the universe playing out in Phoenix, but it just very much didn't feel like he had a majorly positive presence in this game. The other thing we need more from DeAndre Ayton. We absolutely need more. He did get beat on the glass. He did not play well on the other end. I thought Denver really switched a lot of different actions and dared Ayton to try to beat them inside. And that's an area that he's just not always comfortable doing, is physically overpowering guys. He floated a little bit throughout the course of that game. Like, the adjustment for Phoenix isn't necessarily doing a ton different tactically. Like, they need to stay more attached to Jamal Murray. They've got to do a couple better things at the point of attack, but it's just getting more out of two of your four best players.
I think that that's right. I will say this also on like the math equation of it all. To me, it just felt like the 3-point shot is not the thing for Phoenix. It's getting rim touches. If you notice where Minnesota had an immense amount of success, it is just getting to the basket against Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic has not been very good as a rim protector over the course of the last 6 months. Like, you can beat him to the rim. He will try and stand there and take a charge, or you can finish over the top of him because you have Kevin Durant, you have Chris Paul, you have Devin Booker. Like, specifically Durant and Booker, I think, could do a better job of trying in ball screens to attack that mismatch. You can go like empty side ball screens with Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic, and then you can play 5 spacers on the court at once, basically, so that Aaron Gordon can't help off, and you can try and outscore them that way and try and get to the basket, try and get easier shots that way. To me, that's more the adjustment I'm looking forward to seeing from Phoenix. I would like to see them try and get Nikola Jokic in space a little bit more often, try and get him kind of on an island with some of their better players, and then trying to get all the way to the basket. Threes are important. I'm not, downplaying the importance of the 3-point shot for Phoenix. Phoenix has 3 guys that are 40% 3-point shooters that are in their starting lineup, and Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. Plus, they have guys like Damian Lee, I guess Shamet, et cetera, who can come in and shoot. But I just, to me, it's more the actions that they're running as opposed to like the shot mix that they're running that will be the adjustment here.
Yeah, I feel that. It's just not a rim pressure roster, Sam. It's not a team that's built to easily get opportunities at the rim. So, I think a lot of it is us banging our head against the wall, hoping that the Suns kind of become something that they're not. They probably need to find a way to win this series without resorting to that. And maybe that includes shooting a few more 3-pointers off of ball screens, setting, like we saw with the Golden State series, setting some higher ones so that they can pull off of ball screens. Then that forces Jokic or whoever is guarding them a little bit further out of the lane, because I have no doubt Booker, Paul, and KD can hit those pull-up threes on high volume. If you do that, does that get other people away from the basket? And now you have greater avenues for that rim. So it's not just an either or, it's more of a both and I would like to see it start more with where they're taking their attempts out of ball screens. The math issue isn't the major one for me. It's more so about, if you shoot them from 3, you force Denver to come out of the lane more, and then you get the highest percentage looks that you can at the basket.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. But again, to me, this was not the biggest issue. The biggest issue was defense for Phoenix in this game.
Yeah.
Phoenix gave up 1.42 points per 100, or 1.42 points per possession in the first half of this game. You're just not going to have success if you do that, in my opinion. Hot take, I know. Let's go into the clips, though, here. This is from 2 minutes into the game, 1.5 minutes into the game. And what you're going to see here is Josh Okogie is going to get clipped from a Jokic screen here early. And then DeAndre Ayton just doesn't step up and doesn't recognize that Josh Okogie is on the ground, basically. Ayton has to be like at the level of the 3-point line here. There's just no, you have to recognize that your man is down. There's no excuse for it.
And let's start first thing first. You got to call out the damn screen. Like, it's the playoffs. It's one of the first plays of the game. He's setting a screen near half court. Like, your job is to be able to call this out. That's an inexcusable miss in the first 1.5 minutes of the game.
Yeah. So this is just a wide open step in three from Jamal Murray that probably got him going a little bit because, man,
Yep.
was Jamal great in this game. So here, again, they guarded him with Josh Kogi, especially early in this game. You're going to see DeAndre Ayton trying to corral Jamal Murray here. Does a pretty reasonable job, forces the tough shot. Okay. Sometimes Jamal Murray is going to make that. But what I wanted to grab here, I think, is that one worrying thing for DeAndre was just that he got flat footed often in this game. Look at how his foot is right now. He is flat footed right now when Jamal Murray has the ball. You cannot be flat footed in a switch against Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is literally looking for your feet to go down and for your like center of gravity to drop so that you can't actually get out and contest his three. He recognizes it immediately. He makes it. Look, he did a good job corralling him there on the side, but then he didn't finish the possession, right? Like that is a very tough spot for DeAndre Ayton. He has to play more impactfully. Now, what I will say here, I think there were possessions where DeAndre did like a pretty good job. So here he does like a good job corralling, forces him baseline, forces the turnover, right? Like DeAndre had a few pretty good possessions. So here he's going to close out well onto Jokic. This is something that I think Denver should go to less of in the like games that are coming up. I don't think you want to post Jokic a lot against DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre is long. He will make it harder for Jokic. I don't think that you can be as good as Nikola Jokic is. I think they have better avenues of offense than posting Nikola Jokic against DeAndre. DeAndre does a good job getting the contest there. Here, they run like a 5-4 ball screen, and you're going to see DeAndre does like a pretty good job getting through the action, does a good job contesting, misses the shot, battles on the glass. Yep. That's what he's going to have to do throughout the series. Has to fight, has to scratch, has to claw, has to battle. He fought through that screen. He fought on the glass. That is what has to happen with DeAndre Ayton in this series. I didn't want to just bag on DeAndre Ayton. Yep. I thought that would be unfair. I thought he had some good possessions defensively in this game. Now, look at this one. Here, he just gets way too onto his right foot, and this is just easy. And again, what you're going to see here is like this probably needs to be more on the help side from Kevin Durant, but I think Durant did a pretty good job as well. I thought Durant did a good job in help defense here. Durant is long. He was ready to be there at the basket. He contests that shot. Like I thought that was okay. I thought DeAndre probably just went a little bit too far to the right there. It's little details for DeAndre Ayton. It always has been. It always will be. The fact that he got just a little bit too far onto the right side of his foot, if you do that against Nikola Jokic, you will get bitten. You will absolutely get beat. So here, this one is, so Devin Booker misses this like weird shot. And look at where Nikola Jokic and DeAndre Ayton are.
Yep.
Nikola Jokic is in a sprinting formation. He is ready to go. DeAndre is standing straight up. They're at the same level. And then DeAndre is going. This could be altitude, frankly. Like, I don't want to like say this is effort at all. Like, this could be, they're in Denver. Yeah. DeAndre Ayton has played the first 8.5 minutes of this game. Like, we need to acknowledge that altitude is a real thing. But Nikola Jokic just can't beat DeAndre Ayton down the court that badly to where there's just no resistance whatsoever. Anytime that happens, it's going to be curtains. Here we go. Again, this one is actually just like, I want to showcase again. I thought Kevin Durant did a really good job in help defense in this game, which again, like is somewhat concerning given the fact they gave up 1.4 points per 100 possessions in the second or in the first quarter or first half. Again, here we go. Rotates all the way down from the wing, recognizes the cut, swats Christian Brown, ends up being a turnover on Christian Brown because he steps out of bounds.
That's bad spacing and a bad drive on Murray's part as well. But I think the point on Kevin Durant is a really salient one. Like, he is such a good help defender, and this has always
Yes.
been the most underrated aspect of his game. He was so good
Yes.
for the Brooklyn Nets and their resurgence before the trade this year. He averaged over a block a game playing with the Golden State Warriors for all those years. He's a really damn good defender, and when you can have him guarding the corners so that he helps in a little bit more near the basket, it's a great opportunity for him to be at his best. And I think when Jokic is playing in the high post this series, that's an important thing for the Suns to be able to do. Keep Kevin Durant in a position where he's standing near the blocks and can provide that emergency help at the rim.
No, I think that's dead on. Okay, so here, Aaron Gordon has the ball. They get this. This is just where the Landry Shamet show starts now that I'm recognizing it. So they go small here. Why in the world you would have Landry Shamet guarding Michael Porter Jr. Is beyond me. Frankly, I don't understand the strategy here. I don't even think this was a switch. I think this was like he just picked up Michael Porter Jr. here, and this is just way too easy for Michael Porter Jr. He's going to shoot over the top of Landry Shamet literally every time. Here we go. Landry Shamet trying to box out Aaron Gordon. The Nuggets are big. Like, this is a big team.
Big.
Jamal Murray is 6'5". KCP is 6'5". Michael Porter 6'9". Aaron Gordon 6'8". Like, these dudes are big. Aaron Gordon just jumps right over the top of Landry Shamet. It's not even like a terrible box out, but it's not even going like he didn't go over the top on him. Like, he didn't foul him at all. He's just bigger and longer than Landry Shamet is, and the ball went to him. I don't think you can play Landry Shamet in this series, just straight up. So here, I believe that this is just me getting frustrated that DeAndre leaves his line in the drop a little bit too early. So he's going to be here. He's the man guarding Jeff Green. So this is his drop responsibility here. He needs to stay attached here. And I think that he's just anticipating that Jeff Green is going to be is going to be rolling back door here. And I think he just doesn't have track of where Jeff Green is. Like, he drops like backward there instead of trying to drop back onto Jeff Green, who's basically standing at the foul line. Like, I don't understand why DeAndre Ayton is dropping backward here and giving up the wide open driving lane.
Yeah, and that's a weird play because Porter is kind of in the way, like pseudo posting up, trying to figure out where he should go. Yep. And I think Ayton is just kind of assuming that there's going to be no pathway forward for Murray to get to the basket. So it's a really wonky kind of like, you never know what happens on the fly, and you have to really plan for. But it's just when you are in a playoff series, you've got to key in on the top scorers. And the top scorer right now is not only the guy with the basketball, because the ball is what scores, not a man, but it's Murray. He's been cooking. You've got to be able to play in the lane a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is Bruce Brown, but yeah, no, you're 100% right. Yeah. Like, you need to me, DeAndre has to be protecting the paint there, has to be in front of that driving lane in drop. Like, I get that he thinks that because Michael Porter is posting there that he has the help. Okay, let's say that Michael Porter just vacates that area. Would you rather give up a Jeff Green 3 or a Michael Porter 3? Right? Like, that is DeAndre. DeAndre has to be in that driving lane there. Okay, so here, this is going to be, I believe, what am I looking at here? Let's see. Okay, so Jokic is going to come up. He's going to set this screen for Bruce Brown. What you're going to see here is, again, I just missed it. DeAndre is flat-footed again, and Bruce Brown recognizes it immediately. DeAndre is flat-footed in ball screen coverage again, and as soon as he sees it, Bruce Brown goes up, knocks it down. Because, again, DeAndre is not going to be able to actually contest that shot at a high level. I guess you're comfortable with a Bruce Brown mid-range shot. Right. I don't know. Like, in rhythm, I wouldn't really want that. And frankly, I didn't love the fact that DeAndre was flat-footed throughout the entirety of this game. It felt like he was on his heels. He was not aggressive. Like, I know that people asked him about his aggression after the game. It felt like he was on his heels the whole game. Yep. Like, that is what happened here. So just to be clear, like, this is not always, what did I grab here? I actually don't even know why I pulled this. It's fun. Like I pull these clips and like half the time I forget why I pulled them. This is the previous one. DeAndre flat-footed again. This is Bismack Biyombo in this next clip. This is Devin Booker's just ball watching here, like the whole way. There's no reason for him to be at the elbow or to be inside of the elbow here against this Jamal Murray drive when Bismack is right there. He's still ball watching. He is still ball watching and loses track of KCP. This is just a wide open KCP 3. You can't leave Kentavious Caldwell-Pope wide open.
That is so great. Yeah. Great relocation by KCP. Great relocation there. But I think this play here, and you can see that the Suns are in drop coverage based on where Bismack Biyombo is standing. And this is, I'm not in the Suns huddle. I don't know what they're trying to draw up here or talk about defensively. But when you play in drop coverage and you go over the top of screens, you typically want to play that 2-on-2 in the middle of the floor with the two guys that are guarding the pick and roll action. So if you're Devin Booker, your responsibility is to bluff and recover or stay a little bit closer to home with your man, particularly if he is a shooter, because in drop coverage, you want to protect the basket, contest from behind, make them throw a pocket pass, and then be able to recover. The fact that Booker is a little bit too deep at the beginning of this right here is a little bit concerning. And I think Caldwell-Pope makes a great just read, realizes that Booker is too deep and relocates to a spot where he can't recover in time to get a hand up on the shot.
Yep. I think that's dead on, Spins. Here we go again. This is just Landry Shamet is, I believe, guarding Jamal Murray throughout the entirety of this possession.
This was the one. Yeah.
Why they have Landry Shamet guarding Jamal Murray eludes me. He's just not quick enough and not good enough on ball. Like sometimes the answer is that he's just not good enough on defense. This is one of those times. Like one adjustment for the Suns is to not play Landry Shamet. I get that, you know, you might not feel great about the rest of your bench, but I feel bad on some level, but yeah, like you can't really play Shamet here again. Like just gets absolutely cooked by Jamal Murray. Sometimes guys can't defend and that's fine, but you know, just gets absolutely cooked. Can't play.
I think the way I'd put it is you can't play Landry Shamet with Chris Paul. You can only play Landry Shamet if you can steal minutes for him guarding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and even that is a little bit of a risk. So that's a huge risk because they're just going to get him switched. Like they'll just find him eventually. I just don't think that you can do it. This one again. Here we go. So this is like pretty okay. I think DeAndre does what he's supposed to do here, which is why I pulled this. Like, again, so here, Jokic sets the screen right at the 3-point line. Pay attention to that. That is important for the next clip. Sets the screen right at the 3-point line. And DeAndre, I think, does a pretty good job. He's in the gap here. You could hit a pocket pass, but DeAndre will be right there to be able to contest that. Okogie fights over the top. He gets there. He contests. This is a shot that Phoenix wants Denver to take at the end of the day and drop. This is what that is supposed to look like. Now, look at where Jokic sets the screen. Sets it, 3 feet higher up the court this time? Something like that, right, Adam? Yep.
And here, that's just too much space in the gap for DeAndre Ayton to cover. And he has to stay in front of Jamal Murray because Okogie is still recovering from a very good screen from Jokic. And he has to actually be here. He has to contest. Murray makes the easy dump off. Jokic is there. It's a good trailer short roll from Jokic. Undeniably, Jokic is a genius that just understands offensive spacing at a level that none of us do. But here, I mean, this is just why setting screens higher up the court. Remember how we talked about this with the Golden State Warriors earlier. Setting screens higher up the court is a real differentiator for teams playing in drop coverage. It makes it way too much ground to cover for that big to be able to cover. And this is just simple from Jokic, right? So here, this is just showcasing
Yep.
what the Suns' plan was, as you'll see here. So, like, Kevin Durant is guarding Aaron Gordon from the start of this possession. They run some really interesting action. Kevin Durant has to be here in order to, I don't even know if this is necessarily a tag. It's just he's playing good help defense. He has to be available here. If he's not, that's just the first option in this play, right? Is to find Nikola Jokic cutting to the basket. Jokic kind of tries to set a screen on Kevin Durant, I think thinking that they might try and switch this at the top, because I don't think this is a play like for Aaron Gordon to get an open three. I just think it's that like that is what happened on this play. And I think that like he is the last option on this play. Kevin Durant can easily close out onto Aaron Gordon if he wants to. It's just, this is the epitome of what they were trying to do, right? They were just like, okay, we are more than comfortable with Aaron Gordon shooting threes.
Yep.
He will shoot them. Maybe he'll make them. Maybe he won't. We'll bet that he won't make as many of them as he takes. Aaron Gordon hit them for 23 points in game one. He had 9 of 13 from the field, 3 of 4 from three.
You can't take everything away. You just can't do it. You got to figure out what you're going to live with. I think it was a sound strategy to try to make Kevin Durant, who's, got a 7-something wingspan, more of the helper at the rim. Like you said, smart play by Jokic to try and pin in Durant a little bit more so that he can't recover a little bit sooner. And that DeAndre Ayton isn't going to be the one who recognizes that scramble, goes out to the perimeter, because if he does that, now you throw the ball in down low to Jokic with Durant on him one-on-one. And that's probably curtains. So this is what, Michael Malone has to do, which is try to dial up some different sets and schemes in ways to punish the Suns for having Durant play in such an aggressively help-driven scheme.
Yep, that is dead on. And then finally here, what am I looking at? I am looking at, why did I pull this, Adam? Tell me why I pulled that.
Well, let's walk through it one more time. Corner slip split that ends up coming here, hit Jokic at the elbow. And this is an area where he's always been so dangerous as a playmaker with backdoors. But you see, who is that that's guarding, I believe, Murray at the top.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
gets caught
I pulled,
fighting through this.
Yeah. I pulled this just because it was an awesome offensive set as much as anything. I did not. I've been looking at Phoenix's defense this whole time. I just wanted to run this. You're right. This is a split. Like, this is Jokic coming up here. He's going to catch this ball here. This is just like patented, like flex offense stuff, right? So Jamal Murray's going to come down. He's going to set this screen, baseline cut toward the basket. They miscommunicate on the back end. Here, they both go toward, I believe that's Aaron Gordon.
Yep.
And when you do that, it's just curtains for Jamal Murray.
Great screen by Murray's part, too. Good angle to get there, made solid contact, left at the right time, all of the things that you want.
Yeah, this is just an awesome offensive set. You're going to get beat on this sometimes. Like, this is just a real, like, really, really exceptionally difficult set to guard. But
flex screens are prevalent in the NBA when you have a shooter who sets. And that Celtics ran all these flex sets a millions times with Isaiah Thomas. That was something that Brad Stevens wanted to run. Fred VanVleet does it for the Raptors. Like, it's a really smart way of getting a good guard who can shoot on the move by having him set that little brush screen closer to the corner and then pop right back out to the perimeter.
So adjustments for the Suns: don't play Landry Shamet. Be more active and energetic in drop coverage. I think for DeAndre Ayton. I mean, where else are we on what they have to do here? They have to hit the offensive glass, or have to hit the defensive glass for sure. Like, that's a big part of this, is just being aggressive on the defensive glass.
I think they got to find more ways to have Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton's presence felt on offense. And the answer for either of those cannot be in the mid-range. This isn't my anti-mid-range thing. I've come around a lot more to believing that when you have elite shot makers like the Suns do, you probably take them. But Booker and Durant are going to get theirs in that area. So if Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton are going to make an impact in this series offensively, It has to be in other areas. So whether that's more pull-up threes for a guy like Chris Paul or even Booker or Durant, or if it's finding ways to get DeAndre Ayton going at the basket. It's just something that the Suns absolutely have to do, because if Ayton is going to be, I don't want to say a neutral presence on the defensive end of the floor, some good, some
Yeah.
bad. He's got a really tough assignment ahead of him. But in order to keep him engaged, they've got to find ways to create opportunities for him on the offensive end as well. I always believe that the guys who are tasked with the toughest defensive assignments need a little bit of love on the offensive end of the floor to keep them mentally tuned into what's going to be asked of them. And I'd love to see Monty Williams and the Suns do just a little bit more to try to create for Ayton.
Yeah. And, I think that the way that you do that is you run him in high ball screens and you put Devin Booker and Kevin Durant on the weak side of the action, and you open up the court in a substantial way. I think it is going to be very, very difficult for Denver to guard 1-5 ball screen actions high up the court when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are on the weak side.
Yep. So we talked a lot after some of the Grizzlies Lakers series games where the Lakers went to that double drag empty set where they had
Yep.
essentially nobody in a position to tag the roller. I would love to see the Suns go to something like that where one of their two great scoring options on the wing, in Booker or Durant, is setting one of those screens, and DeAndre Ayton is setting the second and then rolling to the basket. I think that'd be a really efficient way to use the multitude of ball handlers and shooters that they have, because if they don't like or aren't able to get Ayton at the rim, throw back to whoever the other screener is, Booker or Durant, and it probably ends up being a wing isolation that is still going to generate a pretty good look for the Suns.
I think that's dead on. I think that is dead on. I think that's where we can close it for there. I don't know. Do you have anything else, Adam? Anything you got to get off your chest before we go?
I don't think I got it. Yeah. I mean, look, the Celtics Sixers is starting, and like it doesn't feel exciting because we don't know what to make of the whole Joel Embiid injury thing. I'm usually super stoked for a matchup between those two teams, but just having trouble really getting into that series. Like parity is real in the game of basketball. So we have a second round filled with series that could go either way. That really excites me.